continuing on then, as we were. It's November 28th, the day after Thanksgiving. We were talking about the image in the chapter called Treading. And something about someone discriminating between high and low and strengthening the thinking of the people. But when it talks about discriminating in the poetry, in the paragraph, it talks about rank and social class and people who are doing very well as opposed to those who are not doing well, and whether there is class and envy and war and resentment going on, or people accepting things and being grateful for the conditions as is. It says that when a lot of rank is awarded to people who are not deserving, that creates an imbalance, and that's what causes a lot of the resentment. So for the image, we'll write down a phrase about the image later on. Let's go right to the 3 lines that change. Line 2 it says, line in the second place, treading a smooth level course. And then perseverance brings good fortune. Line 2, right, of chapter 10 is on page 46 of the Wilhelm edition. And then actually it says there's a lonely sage here, a dark man. He remains withdrawn from the bustle of life. He seeks nothing, asks nothing, he's not dazzled by big goals. He's true to himself. He travels through life unassailed on a level road. Since he's content and does not challenge fate, he remains free of entanglements. The sage is completely free of entanglements. Interesting, I said entitlements. Well, entitlements could be entangling. So if we were to write down a quick phrase about that second line, we would might say the lonely sage, free of entanglement. Sage, right? Holy man sounds a bit strong or too lofty. Free of entanglement. When you think of entanglement, what do you think of? Think of an animal getting stuck in the bushes. You think of rope that you can't untangle, you can't lay it smooth. How do you get free of entanglement? So line 3, we'll go to another message we got by drawing colored marbles. It talks about a one-eyed man is able to see. The lame man is able to walk. He treads on the tail of the tiger. The tiger does not bite the man. Thus the great warrior acts on behalf of his great prince. Actually, it says the tiger does bite the man. Misfortune, but sometimes a warrior does this on behalf of his great prince. So, someone with a lot of deficits, a lot of handicaps, by being able to see, and in spite of the eye being gone, being able to walk, in spite of the bad leg, stepping right on the tail of a tiger can sometimes cause that tiger to bite the prince or the agent of the great prince. This is the warrior acting on the behalf of the great prince. So it's not enough when you have partial vision, and sometimes being lame is not enough to make progress. And then if these are defects that are going on, not being able to see and not making progress, then you make yourself vulnerable, especially if you consider yourself to be strong and you're not. Any type of reckless plunging ahead, regardless of the adequacy of one's powers, can only be justified in the case of a warrior battling for his prince. So sometimes it's honorable for someone to take on these type of conflicts, but otherwise I think it's saying don't do it. Think about these messages. It's like this is about to happen. Then you can choose the principles that are involved in what's about to happen. Choose not to be going the way you were, you can actually change time. So if the idea is you're coming to a fork in the road and you should go left and saying go left, you can study that while there's a fork in the road, and when it comes time, then you take that left. That's the whole idea. And for here, it says that if there's lack of vision, lack of mobility, and one is still convinced that everything's fine, and you still keep going, that's just inviting disaster. That's best not to plunge ahead and push with recklessness when you're not going to be able to sustain it, something like that. So line 3, if we were to write down a quick phrase, the partially blind and partially lame don't progress. So it almost seems to be saying retreat from the danger, right? Retreat from danger, so you don't get bitten by the tiger. Right? And then there's another line that changed for us by the color of the marbles, line 6. And it's on page 47 of the Wilhelm edition. Look to your conduct, weigh the favorable signs. If you fulfilled everything, then supreme good fortune follows. So that's a good piece of news. We're hoping we'll get good fortune. We always prefer that. And it says, look to your conduct in the poetry. What is your conduct? And if you could weigh the favorable signs, and see what it says. The work is over, it's ended. We want to know whether we did well or not. We must look back upon our conduct and see what type of consequences that followed. If those effects are good, if you had good, then good fortune is certain to follow. No one knows. It's only the consequence of the action, the fruit of the labor, that a man can be judged. That a man can judge what is to expect. So, did it work out? No. But there may be consequences that are not apparent. First, it did work out, and then that would be the fruit of the labor of what was undertaken. Again, I seem to be thinking in terms of my possibly truck driving. Says the work is over, and you can look back now to see how you did, and basically it talks about the action that you took, that it result in good consequences for all the different people involved. And that may not be then the ending that I wanted to be accepted in the truck driving world, but I may have left some good behind that can have a ripple effect that will make a difference in this world. Who knows? So, quick phrase about the top message. It says, work is over, is ended. Look back and review. It's really a question, were the consequences good? And I could use that as an example and say, yeah, I think that the interactions, what I learned, what put me out of my comfort zone, we ride a truck 48 states, the people I trained from put me on a different type of routine for my mind. I have to keep learning and to keep the vehicle safe. There's very dynamic, changing scenery. Sometimes roads, sometimes night driving, and stepping out and being sent home, stepping out in time. And I look back and I think it was a good experience. I think it was good. That's just me thinking about this as being all about me. Then you go back to the general chapter, treading. And if you want to talk about all the details and principles, the concept of treading or conduct, chapter 10. But I'm going to focus on the image for now, just for keeping our video blog, a little more concise. And we talked about heaven over lake, and there was this idea of the king or the superior man discriminating between high and low, fortifying the thinking of the people. And then we talked about rank not being arbitrarily assigned. If there's social rank, it matches inner worth, and society seems to accept that and acquiesce in this order. The civilization in society, when the leaders are worthy of the power and probably the nicer lifestyles that the social class and elevation gives them. But it definitely talks about how do you calm the society when there's all these differences of social class and also, I would say, material comforts, lifestyle. And it says that when the people who have the abundance and the external rank have inner worth, then it seems to be accepted by everybody. So for the general chapter for treading, which is again about stepping on a tiger, here the one stepping is the one giving out the rank. And it's a rank awarded and matching inner worth, right? Inner worth. Then society is civilized, basically, as people accept external ranking, right? Isn't that it? External worth. External differences in rank correspond with differences in inner worth. So I'll just say external rank. And then we get a second line because when you draw a bunch of colored marbles, the line changes into its opposite. And we got 49 as the second half of that chapter. '49 called molting. Oop, come on, pen. Molting. And what do we think of with the word molting? It's kind of an obscure word. Animals that lose their fur, their shedding, or their burrs, or their feathers, casting off so the new can grow. It talks, I guess, a little bit about revolutions in political life. Often there have been types of revolutions that have been connected with changes of government. And if you were to look at the two lines, the two symbols, the hexagrams, you get Tui over Li, lake over fire. So what comes to mind when someone says that there's an image of lake over fire? You can think of lava maybe. Well, here I'm going to go to the image, see what they think of it. And it says fire and lake are always combat and destroy each other. So lake over fire, again, things going in different directions. One's going up, one's going down. So too, in a year, there's a combat that takes place between the forces of light and darkness, eventuating in seasons. Revolving of seasons. Man masters these changes in nature by noting the regularity. Because he can mark off the patches of time accordingly, you can get ready for winter, you can get ready for summer. It says, in this way, order and clarity appear in the apparently chaotic changes of the seasons. Man is able to adjust himself in advance to the demands of the different times. So they're giving an example, saying, all right, if you can read what's going on around you in terms of seasons, if you can build a house, and you can adjust yourself to the type of clothes you wear at different times of year, prepare for that. There's ways that you can do that in your own heart and in your own social standing, which it says that you yourself can be adjust yourself, adjust your own actions, your own heart in advance to the demands of the different times. That's just a rich, rich statement. What are the demands of the different time? What's the moment at hand? So you can, when you're going into a certain situation, you can adjust yourself in advance to the demand of the time, to the demand of the different times, and you kind of like Obi-Wan Kenobi. You sense where's the ball. You got the ball. You adjust yourself to the changing of time. I mean, obviously, that's like where it begins and ends, and how good you get at sensing the demands of the time that you're in. So not the easy thing. So if this were to be sort of the second half of this particular throw, which we start out with treading, and now this one's molting. What is the resolution of the tension that was at hand? How does it resolve? How, if things were to continue as they are today, we don't do any major changes. How do you see this working out? It talks about the molting and the differentiating of the different seasons, knowing how to prepare for the different seasons so you can thicken up your coat, basically, and do that also in terms of being able to do specific I Ching readings, or perhaps just even as you conduct yourself, how you feel that a certain situation is going to be. You can prepare in advance if you think something's going down. It's like, how do you build on that intuitive, what's about to happen, hasn't happened yet, and you keep control and you drive by knowing the seasons around you, and I think by implication it's also saying by being able to do a throw, you can get a sense of the tensions around you. And the solution for this one, that we identified the tension in the first was 3 lines, and that changed. We had a lonely sage but free of entanglement. We had one partially blind and lame, not progressing, retreats from something it was not able to pursue. And then the third line, it's that particular type of work is over, and you need to look back and review and see how you did. And you'll know if some of the consequences were good for you, or for how it worked out. The general chapter was rank award has to match inner worth. The only thought that comes to my mind is if you're awarded a truck, were you ready to drive that truck? If you're ready to become the mayor of a town, are you ready to work with the different agencies to run that town? So if these outer awards of privilege and power and rank are awarded, as long as it matches the character of the candidate, the person, then there seems to be a harmony in the society around us. Right. So that was the tension, I guess. Free of entanglement, the limited, and then the work being over. And then one could put a note about the molting, that sometimes you just need to see the different changes that are going on, how they progress, kind of like the seasons, to prepare for yourself for in case it doesn't work out, or prepare yourself for if it does work out. So you're getting a sense of the things around you, so that when it happens, you're able to act ahead of time. So I'll just say, for the second thought, as a solution to these different things that were going on, that it may be that whole process of the different people involved with the truck driving. It's useful because it shows you how to get a sense of different seasons that are going on, and how you can anticipate that season in advance. So good project on developing inner ear. Maybe we'll say an inner ear. All right, so that's those are 2 throws, and as I said, probably you would do a third to just sort of complete out that reading. As you can tell with the marble method, you got your numbers quick, you're getting right into the image, you're matching what they say about the image to the 2 principles, concepts of the hexagrams. You're reading the specific fortune cookie lines, and how does it work out the way things are going now, whatever that tension is that we identified in that first half of that throw. How do you see it playing out now? they throw in a general chapter reading. And this one talked about molting, learning, getting better at anticipating change and adjusting yourself ahead of time. There's a great reason to be doing readings. The whole concept is that you develop your inner worth, your inner character. It will develop your inner ear and inner eye if you develop your worth and character. And it always has to be based on what is right. And if it wasn't right, if you're doing things that are not just, then you don't get the breaks, you don't get the blessings, you don't get the synchronicities of gifts that come along the way. I also would throw in the word echo. You'll develop an ability to hear echoes as you develop your inner ear and your inner eye. You'll sometimes say the word terrific, and then you'll hear it on television. Terrific. Different echoes that begin to happen. The words that you say, or it could be what you heard on the television, and then someone else says it. They just keep an eye open for these echoes. Sometimes the type of echo is just a pop in the woodwork. Whatever you were thinking about, whatever you said, all of a sudden, pop. One might argue that there's sort of a confirmation similar to an echo at such times. And you're working with, doing readings about critiquing different situations. What was the best path? How do you get your heart in the right place? How do you encourage the positive blessings and synchronicities based on spiritual growth, really? Personal growth, spiritual growth. And how do you sense in advance before it goes down so that you're actually operating in an intuitive way? You're developing your intuition, you're aligning your forces with what is right, the force of good, and you're developing spiritual growth, personal growth, and at least that's the idea. That's what you're trying to do. The I Ching is useful in just thrashing thoughts and different things that might jump out at you, different themes that might jump out at you, and then to give yourself a deep, full faith type of inner reflection and say, geez, it says someone was about ready to do something like that. Am I doing that? Or it says some other person was doing that. Was I doing that? Or there are other characters being described that all of a sudden you know exactly which character. It seems like it seems to gravitate towards, that there seems to be critiquing a situation that's going on that you probably know very well. Anyway, thank you for your time. We'll try it again sometime. I needed you to see how fast you can get the lines to get your 3 throws in, and I did 2 of the 3 for you. Okay, thanks. I'll talk to you later.